Little monsters, we are so back. Hey y'all, it's me, Manly Bus, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing episode 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17, where our remaining 8 queens got a little hateful in the first ever villains roast of Plain Jane, Mistress, Isabelle Brooks, and Kandy Muse, with roast order and drama provided by Jewels Sparkles. And the runway category was short shorts. Who wears short shorts? I wear short shorts. Look at those gams. So we'll be going queen by queen to break all that down, as well as covering the drama surrounding the kind of controversial guest judge pick of Whitney Cummings, plus diving deep into the Arrietty and Lexi versus Jewels drama as we go. And first up, let's talk tea. So after this episode aired, fans began to go online to speak about how they were upset at seeing someone like Whitney Cummings as the guest judge for the show. She's a comedian who has in the past come under fire for some rather controversial takes she's posted online, like during the LA fire's natural disaster when she posted a conspiracy theory about the LA Fire Department's hiring more lesbians because the chief of the fire department staff was a lesbian, which is like weird that someone would even bring that up or be so invested in that, but I guess she is. She also recently shared on X a joke that she apparently cut from her 2024 CNN New Year's Eve set, which, referencing Shania Twain, apparently would have went something like this. Reminds me of this year's Paris Olympic theme, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, where the joke seemingly references the Olympics scandal where conservative media personalities were calling Iman Khalif, the Olympic boxer, a man who was in fact a woman. And all I can really say is the conspiracy theories she posted and the transphobic joke are weird. And I think it's a shame that Drag Race ended up platforming this person, but I will say this episode would have been filmed last year before either of these things would have come out about Whitney. But should she have been given the Sherry Pie edit? Let me know down in the comments below. And now in the order our queens got this roast to cookin', first up, it's Onya Nurve. And going first in the roast is definitely a tall order because you have to be funny, but you also have to warm up the crowd and raise the energy of the room. Arguably though, it could be considered an easier position to go in because you don't have any bar set for how funny the roast is going to be. Regardless though, I think Onya did a really great job of bringing her bubbly personality and confidence to her set, and had some good jokes where she mocked Kandy Muse's voice as being like the Tasmanian devil, and expressed her condolences for Plain not being able to see her sister Corey on the stage, but assured her that she was just as untalented, rotted, and dumb as she was. And while Onya's jokes sometimes took a minute or two to get to that punchline, finally, it was worth the wait, and I would give her performance in this roast a safe high. But over on the runway, she is wearing a denim situation, which is kind of like a concept of a runway. She got this like deconstructed jeans pocket situation for the top, which is interesting, I think. Like I kind of like it in some ways, like how it zips down and has the reveal moment. But in other ways, I wasn't loving how much of the body stocking that is exposed around the denim. Like she was kind of giving denim diaper that got pulled up way too high into a wedgie. And kind of like that pink shoe runway she wore a couple weeks ago, I just wanted more of this material to finish out the garment and give a more head to toe illusion. This look came up a little short for me this week, so I'm gonna give it a. And next up, is she the drama? Kind of. It's Arrietty. And Arrietty's big storyline in this episode is that she's super upset with Jewels for her placement in the roast, which is second overall and right before Jewels. Basically, Arrietty feels like Jewels has identified Arrietty as one of the weakest in this challenge, and she's mad that Jewels, someone who thought she was a really close friend, would stab her in the back by expecting her to flop and then coming in after to look really funny. And this fight not only goes on throughout the episode leading up to the roast, but also during Untucked, where we even see Onya coming to the defense of Jewels when Arrietty is coming at her for that roast order placement. And Onya, I think rightly so, reality checks pretty much everyone in the room and says like, if you are going to be funny, you're going to be funny, and the order doesn't matter that much. I think it's super obvious here that Arrietty didn't have any confidence going into this challenge, and instead of focusing on her jokes and trying to make this set work, she's looking for people to blame to give her an excuse for doing bad. The crazy thing to me though is that Arrietty complains enough that she manages to extract a couple of different apologies out of Jewels, where Jewels ultimately says it wasn't her true intention to F Arrietty over with this placement. But what's even wilder is that to get back at Jewels, Arrietty decides to steal some of her jokes. jokes, which is like the definition of playing dirty, especially in a comedy set. Like, I would be absolutely livid if someone did that to me. And even though Arrietty eventually does apologize later in Untucked for doing that, it was clear the damage was already done to their relationship. And in the actual roast, Arrietty does as well as I think she thought she would do, which is not great. She starts off her roast talking about how she's scared of roasting people and is kind of stumbling over her jokes and attempting to giggle through them where she messes up when she talks about how Plain Jane is scared of emotional intelligence and how Kandy is afraid of tongue twisters and how Mistress Isabelle Brooks is afraid of elevator weight limits, which aren't bad jokes, but again, she stumbled through all of them and the delivery on each was completely off, where she even said Mistress Isabelle Brooks' name wrong. Some of her humor though just didn't translate at all. She did a joke where she said the difference between her and Plain Jane was that she played with friends outside and Plain played in the dark sucking on batteries. And the funniest part of her roast was actually when she announced that she was ending it and everyone in the room started cheering. You clocked it, sister. This roast was a rat. And for the first time ever, I'm not totally loving what Arrietty's presenting on the runway. She gives on this gold satin, deconstructed, like royal art deco kind of look, almost reminiscent in a way of Raja's design challenge, like especially with those crazy face pieces and glasses. Honestly, I really enjoyed the creativity of the silhouette she created with those giant shoulder pads. Something was off for me in that top body stocking, and the shorts looked a little frumpy. And I didn't love that the legs were just kind of plain legs, and the way the crystals were on the bottom part of her legs just felt off. I saw the vision, but I'm not gonna crown it, so I'm gonna leave this look with a warming up. And next up, Sparkle Sparkle, it's Jewels Sparkles, who unfortunately was thrown way off by Arrietty's joke stealing. Because when she gets to the joke about not telling any fat jokes because everyone on stage is a fat joke, she completely misses the delivery and then tries to, like Arrietty, giggle through the missed opportunity. And the thing is, Arrietty's set was so bad that had she just done the joke as planned, I think it would have landed. And if it didn't, she could have at least pivoted and been like, well, that would have been funny if Arrietty didn't steal it. Other than the stolen jokes though, she does jokes about Drag Race being a massive platform as wide as Kandy's back, and does the camera adds 10 pounds joke about Mistress. And generally, I think a lot of her material was a little too focused on size. I think there were other comedic opportunities she could have implored for Kandy and Mistress. But she really was, like Arrietty, a victim of her own undoing as she failed to have confidence in the jokes she told. So I'd give this a And on the runway, she comes out in a green 1800s kind of Baroque Victorian style green dress with pretty little bows everywhere. And it's something that Michelle refers to as Marie Antoinette, which, as we know, Michelle has been very anti-Marie Antoinette for a while now and has spoken about it on this season already. But the thing is, this didn't strike me immediately as Marie Antoinette. Because like, sure, it was of that similar fashion era, but she didn't have the big teased beehive. And I just didn't see the point of view that Michelle was having that anything from this style era should be excluded from the runway. Marie Antoinette looks in the future though, sure, we've seen enough. But fashion from this century, I'm not opposed to seeing new takes on. This is a cutesy, complete look, and I like the kind of tongue-in-cheek way that she included the short shorts here. I'm gonna give this look a safe. And next up, I'm not wearing any, it's Lana JaRae, who in the roast absolutely hit a home run. I was so proud of Lana tonight because she really has been struggling, I think, to find her spotlight in some of these comedy or acting challenges, but the confidence with which she delivered her set was what took her to the finish line tonight. She starts off with a jab at Jewels saying, "Wow, Jewels, I could have said it better myself," and has a great moment where she allowed us to laugh at her calling herself a known disappointment to the judges, and had some actually laugh out loud moments from me, like when she asked Plain Jane how she was doing and then said, "Actually, I don't give a f." And for all the drama already stirred up with Jewels about the roast order ultimately sabotaging herself and Jewels, Lana was the one who benefited from what happened, because those two absolutely bombed before her, and then she got to come in and have a really easy set because people were ready to laugh. Lana was in her comedy era tonight, and I'm excited to see more. This was But over on the runway, we get a rare miss from Lana tonight. She's here recreating a look worn by Naomi Campbell in a 2003 D-squared runway. And I always have mixed feelings about when somebody recreates a look, because did she do an okay job of recreating the Naomi Campbell thing? Yes, but is this look screaming Drag Race runway? No. And is it giving us a deeper look into the mind of Lana's drag? Also no. It is, as the judges call out, a very like mall, ready to wear, off the rack runway. And on Drag Race these days, it's just not what the judges are looking for, and it's not what the fans are expecting. Gone are the season 1, 2, and 3 days when the queens would just walk in jeans and a t-shirt. And unfortunately, the hat she's wearing is giving MAGA. No thank you. This look is a And next up, look to the stars, it's Sam. And Sam was another queen who had an absolutely stellar night in the roast and immediately showed off how smart and witty she was, playing off Lana's exit line where she said, next up is a queen who owns the stage like her family owned my ancestors. Which Sam plays off saying thank you to my longtime family friend, Lana JaRae. That was hilarious. And the tea was, every joke Sam said landed and got laughs from the audience and me watching with my patrons on my reaction to this episode uploaded exclusively to my Patreon, which you too can watch by clicking the link below. My favorites though were where she said Kandy doesn't get asked out on dates, she gets asked out on dares, and then said, Mistress, bless your heart, disease. This was I do have a little bit of a conspiracy theory to share here though, because you may have noticed Sam's set was the shortest of the entire bunch, and by a lot. I counted just under a minute, like 57 seconds or so of set time from her, and every other queen had like about a minute and a half to 2 minutes of set time. And you can actually tell where they cut jokes from because she seemingly is on a roll rattling off her reads, and then all of a sudden it feels like it comes to an early end as she introduces the conclusion of her set. As to why her set was cut so short though, there are a few options. I mean, either it just was a really short set, or the editors thought she was coming across too funny, and playing her entire set might have made the judge's choice to give the win to somebody else feel off. There's also, of course, the third alternative where the jokes that they cut weren't funny, and the editors just wanted to feel like, yes, indeed, she only had a top safe placement, nothing more, nothing less. And over on the runway, Sam is presenting one of the stronger looks in this category tonight, smartly interpreting the short shorts brief into a jock, football, armor kind of fantasy. I really love the bold red and black, and of course how just an outfit is never enough for Sam. She's always going to be bringing those little extra details like the perfect wig with the little sporty ball baubles, and then the gold rhinestone football as a prop. She dragged up this brief and gave us Sam perfection. And my only critique on this is it isn't the most original idea. We've seen this motocross sports kind of fantasy several times in the past, but I enjoyed it here, so I'm gonna give this a And next up is Lydia B. Kollins, who I think was the biggest wild card in this roast tonight. Our shy little Lydia found a source of comedy and delivery that was truly remarkable. And right off the bat, she is making jokes about Corey being gone and how she's looking for another bald black man to fill the void, looking at Rue, and then does jokes about how the villains on set know a thing or two about shredding and roasting, roast beef and shredded chicken. But her strongest jokes were some of the more original ones, at least to me, where she looks at Mistress and says, I'm a really big fan, which is what Mistress would say if she were dressed like an oscillating fan. And the bit about Kandy being raised as a moron, no, Mormon, who left her religion because she had to compete with 6 other women was also genius. And I think what stood out to me the most about Miss Butthole's set was the confidence and also originality in the jokes. Tonight was for the underdogs, and Lydia's set was And I also want to point out here, Lydia's set was one of the longer ones, clocking in over 2 minutes, which I'm pointing out to say, look at how the editors can spin the narrative on things like roasts. The queens who they're gonna give the win to, they give the longest sets. And the queens they want to hide, put in the background a little bit, they edited down even more. And the queens who they want to put in the bottom, again, got the longer sets. Kind of like how they do Snatch Game, which I guess really just goes to show that the edit is so important in things like comedy on TV. Release the tapes. Over on the runway though, we have an interesting looking garment from Miss Lydia. She comes out in what she says is a chemical peel gone wrong with her skin falling off, where the beige tool falling off is meant to look like the skin, and where the skin in the torso area would be her short shorts, which feels like kind of a stretch to me in this category, especially because the beige tool is not giving shorts, it's just loosely giving diaper. And actually did see her post a picture of this look online without the beige tool, and I thought it was much stronger with just those like inside body part guts, you know, vein kind of thing going on. And even though this look was kind of falling apart on the main stage, I did appreciate the originality and creativity here, so I'm gonna give this a warming up. And next up, beep beep, it's Suzie Toot. As the self-proclaimed comedy queen of the season, I think she set a really high bar for herself that she ultimately wasn't able to totally meet tonight. She starts off with a fetus removal joke about Mistress being the former drag mother of Sugar and Spice, which comes off more like a confusing observation than an actual joke, but I really think she picked it up after that when she started doing jokes about Kandy being riddled with parasites and STDs, and had what I thought was one of the funniest jokes of the night when she said Raven's job description was beating a dead horse in reference to painting Rupaul. Suzie definitely had some of the cleanest delivery and like knew when to pause for laughter and progress in the set, and showed, I think, a more mature understanding of how these things should go than the rest of the cast, but just wasn't quite as funny as some of the others. But I would still give this set a. And over on the runway, she says she's giving us full Elizabethan puffy shorts fantasy, which had a medium amount of success. This look is definitely unique for the night, and I think does a good job of nodding to the brief with those short shorts. I did find the jacket to be a little bit odd though. She's threaded some kind of tulle or chiffon or something through these grommets, which I wasn't living for, but I do like that she brought a unique perspective to this runway. I would give this a safe hot. And last but certainly not least, it's Lexi Love, who gets exactly what she wants this episode in terms of roast order placement going last, but throws a fit anyways, because Jewels ends up placing Suzie Toot before her, who is kind of Lexi's arch nemesis, at least in her head. Suzie is the person Lexi has identified as, I think, her biggest threat in the competition, but much like Arrietty tonight, she focused way too much on roast order and got way in her head about not being as funny as Suzie, which is ultimately her downfall, and she kind of missed the delivery, missed some jokes, and other jokes were kind of awkward, like where she says Plain Jane looks like Freddie Prinze Jr., but if he smoked a lot of a certain substance, and interestingly was like the second or third person to stumble over Mistress Isabelle Brooks's name. Who knew that Mistress would be the one sabotaging this roast? It checks out. Lexi made it through the set, but was very clearly struggling with that inner saboteur, and so I'm gonna give this a. But over on the runway, no surprise, Lexi's giving us one of the best looks of the night in a deconstructed denim and diamonds fantasy, where she lets us know that her drag family was responsible for helping her stone a lot of these different embellishments. And personally, I thought this look was gorgeous because she hit that short shorts brief and also made it very Lexi Love. She's got a clear idea of what she wants her drag to look like, and this feels very fresh and fashionable. Lexi's look is what you order online, and Onya's is what arrives in the mail. I'm in love. This look is hot. And concerning placements, our tops this week are called out as Lydia, Sam, and Lana JaRae. None of which surprised me after watching the roast. I think the judges got the placements absolutely correct here. But if you had told me before this episode that Lana and Lydia would be in the top for this roasting challenge, I would have said you're a liar. And so this was a really great turnaround moment for these two. And considering everything that happened, I think the win going to Lydia does make the most sense, but Lana was definitely most improved, and I'm definitely most curious what was cut from Sam's set. And concerning bottoms, as soon as I smelled the beef between Arrietty and Jewels Sparkles and saw what was going on with their sets, I was like, oh, they're gonna be lip syncing tonight. And Lexi was called out as a third bottom, but I think was rightly saved. The Jewels and Arrietty lip sync to Ya Ya by Beyonce was good, and I think a fun little bow on the top of a very dramatic episode with an ongoing fight between these two that didn't even feel totally resolved by the end of Untucked. But while I think Arrietty did just like okay in this lip sync, I think Jewels really shined. I think the judges were right for eliminating Arrietty a second time in this competition, which means now both of our lever pulling badunkadunk saved queens are gone, and the twist had absolutely no effect on the competition overall. I also thought it was really funny looking back at the ominous foreshadowing of the dunk take that Michelle was sending the queens into, considering that Arrietty was saved by it and then ultimately eliminated in the same episode. And usually I don't comment on mirror messages or goodbyes from the queens, but Arrietty left a big stink as she was leaving that workroom and said like Onya needs to brush her teeth on the mirror. And while I did enjoy the TV of it, I was like, oh, the fans are not gonna like seeing this side of her. And as for my final thoughts on this episode, I really enjoyed the unexpectedness of who did well in the roast. And with Lydia getting this win and Arrietty getting eliminated, it really is making me rethink who could be in the top 4 this season. But I do think there is some writing on the wall. Lana JaRae and Lexi Love are gonna have to turn up the volume, pump up the jam, and you know, do a little something, I think, to impress the judges and fans watching at home. Because Lexi's track record is a wall of safe, and Lana's got 2 limbs, so she's gonna need a win if she wants to make it to that final. And lastly, for hottest hot, on the runway, I'm gonna give it to Lexi Love, and in the roast, Lydia B. Kollins, with a very honorable mention to Lana JaRae, who really impressed me tonight.
And I also asked my patrons to vote on their hottest hots, and this week they've chosen Lydia in the challenge and Lexi on the runway.
And lastly, I want to say thanks so much to you for watching today's video, and to remind you to click the link below to join my Patreon, which you can join for free. And for this month, I'm actually giving public access to all members of my Patreon to the hottest hot polls. And don't forget, you can join in even higher tiers to get exclusive content like reactions to every episode of Drag Race I review. And I want to give an extra special shout out to Ashton, Felicia, Laura, Matthew Burns, Nicole, Meets, Music and Makeup Records, and Will and Tana, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collectors here at patreon.com. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye.